Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle Binns, and I'm a family nutritionist and a picky eating expert. And I'm popping on today because I want you to know that if you're a parent with a child who has a limited list of foods, or isn't growing, or losing weight, or you just feel lost and worried about whether they're getting enough nutrition, I was absolutely there. And that is why I care, because I know how difficult it was. I felt like a failure of a mom. I was a nutritionist, for goodness sake, and I could not get my kid to eat. I knew exactly what she needed to eat, but I just couldn't get those foods in her mouth or in any significant quantity that made a difference. I actually thought that someone could do it better. And every time I felt like I had a win, maybe, she started eating a new food, it would be followed by a failure, like her losing weight or dropping a different food. I ended up going to nutrition school, yet I could not find any courses or any research backed info that I needed to help my daughter. So, again, I knew exactly what to feed her because I was a nutritionist. I knew what was healthy, but it's not helpful when your child won't eat anything new. So I started talking to all the specialists. I mean, I went global, and I started connecting with anyone and everyone who was involved in feeding kids. There were some similarities in what they were sharing, but in terms of their approaches, but there was also some conflicting info. And even 8 years later, I can say that there was lots of missing yet valuable information that wasn't shared when I talked to all these experts. And you might be reading all the blog posts and following the Instagram feeds, and applying these strategies that you see. And some of it's conflicting. So I ended up just diving into the research myself. I spent a ridiculous amount of time pulling out all the evidence I needed, because I was not going to mess up my daughter Sienna's relationship with food. There was so much research that showed that children who are picky or selective or underweight are likely to have eating issues later on in life. And I didn't want her to be a stat. My tipping point was when doctors started telling me, "Oh, she's fine. Don't worry about it," or "It will pass," or "You know what? She's on her own growth curve. Yeah, she's below the 0 percentile, but you know what? Just give her whipping cream, or just take her to McDonald's." That's when I said enough was enough, and I decided to create my own plan for my daughter Sienna based on everything I had read, I had learned over months and months of research, and almost immediately we saw an initial shift. There was a lot of trial and error. It wasn't perfect. Some things, worked, so I kept doing them, and lots of things didn't. So I tweaked them and tweaked them again. And today, my now 9-year-old daughter, I can say she is one of the most adventurous kids at any dinner table. And she likes her kid-friendly foods, right? But she tries everything. She will eat pizza, but with all the veggies. She eats salads and casseroles and stuffed peppers and stews, and Thai food, and even loves pasta with pesto and veggies. And she is there's no more fussing, there's no more fighting at the table. And guys, I never thought it was possible. Not only does she have a genetic condition that limits her appetite and her interest in food, but she was also underweight and had a small appetite. And she was classified as a failure to thrive, extremely picky eater. So we had all the odds working against us, and we turned her around with the plan that I ended up creating for her. So, why am I telling you all this? Well, because if you're a parent struggling with your child who, again, maybe has a limited repertoire of foods, or isn't growing or gaining weight, or isn't eating nearly as much as their peers or their siblings, or maybe you're worried that they're not getting the nutritional variety they need to thrive, and you're just, you don't really want to rely on supplements or a multivitamin. I want you to know that I get you. I was there. I know how hard it is, but I also know it's possible. And if it can work for my extremely picky eater with genetic congenital issues, it can absolutely work for you. So don't give up. Reach out if you need support. But I'm a mom who's in your shoes, and I can tell you firsthand that we need to give our kids more credit than they deserve. And it absolutely is possible for your child too. I hope you enjoyed this video.